In this video, we'll show you how to create a simple VR training in 3Spin Learning in just 10 minutes. No programming needed. First, we simply log in using a normal web browser. From there, we can create users, upload assets, and manage courses. Here we see a few courses that were previously created in our authoring tool. Via click here to create a new training, we enter the creation mode. Here you decide whether you want to create a course in 360 degrees, in VR, or in augmented reality. Then we can upload a title image and enter title and description texts. In this short example, we'll create a course on employee evacuation. In companies, such training is often even mandatory by law. This is the course description that each learner will see. Once we click Save, the basic framework of our course will be created in the certified Microsoft Azure cloud. Now we are in the authoring tool, where an initial scene has already been created automatically. In the side panel, we can see the properties of the course, for example, the course type and the provided description text. Here we can also change some settings. For example, whether avatars of the participants should be displayed when learning together. In this course, we will define scenes as locations. And we want a second scene for this. One where learners are initially located. For example, a warehouse. And a scene into which participants escape. For example, a parking lot. Now we can add different objects to our scenes. In a VR training, first of all we need a 3D environment. When we click on Add Object, our library appears on the right. There we find objects that we have previously uploaded, for example 3D models, images, and sounds. We also find a warehouse, which we have downloaded before for free from one of many 3D databases. In the second scene, we also need an environment. But in this case, we choose a 360 degrees photo, instead of a 3D model. That means you can also mix these two types quite pragmatically, depending on your requirements. We have also previously gotten the photo from a database for free. Now we can add more objects. For example, we want a welcome message for the learners. For that we have the Intro Overlay module, which displays the scene description by default, which we now remove, and add a new text via Add Content instead. For example, welcome to the training. There's a fire in the warehouse. Please leave the building immediately. In the second scene, we want to say goodbye to the learners. For this, we have the Outro Overlay with default text, which we again remove and add a new text instead. Congratulations! You passed the training and were able to get to safety. Here we tick another box to show the overlay immediately when learners enter the scene. For example, the parking lot. Let's get back to the 3D model. Often you can download these models for a low price or even for free. But then, unfortunately, they do not always have the logic we need for a learning course. In this case, we can see a door, but it is only visible graphically. For an evacuation, however, the door must also be usable. For such cases, we provide a very simple, but somehow magical tool. The transparent shape. Learners cannot see this shape, but authors can use it to intercept their actions. By placing the shape over other objects they use. In this case, over the door. To do this, we add a trigger to the shape. A trigger is everything the learner can cause, for example, clicking something, looking at something, or approaching something. In this case, we choose the click trigger. As soon as the learner clicks on the shape or the door handle, something should be triggered. That is the action. Then, for example, a graphic can be displayed or a sound can be played. In this case, however, we want to trigger a scene change to the parking lot, which already appears as a choice here. In addition, we can easily define the clicking of the shape as a learning goal. For example, to give feedback to learners at the end of the course. If there were several learning objectives in the scene, you could also define that they have to be completed in a certain order. To let the learner see how they did, we add an objectives counter to the outro overlay. But you are probably already asking yourself, how does the shape actually get over the door handle in 3D? Very simple. It happens directly in VR. The author can switch between the web browser and the goggles at any time to edit the training. In the glasses, we now sync with the cloud and immediately see the training that has been created in the browser. However, we do not enter the course as learners, who can learn here alone or together. We first enter it as an author via Edit Training. Now we enter the warehouse. There we see our extended authoring tool, where all the scenes and objects we just added in the web browser appear. In this case, especially the transparent shape. We can teleport via the VR controller to cover longer distances, in case we don't have enough room in real space. And here we now see what we mentioned earlier. The door handle doesn't exist at all. It is only a texture and would not be usable like that. But now we can just drag our transparent shape out of the authoring tool. Place it in front of the door. Scale it and rotate it with our hands. Now we save the course back to the cloud and can immediately preview it from the learner's perspective. In the course, we are welcomed, click OK and teleport to the door. And as expected, on click, we enter the second scene. The parking lot. We have passed the training. In addition, the objectives counter appears here, with the result, 1 completed and 0 left. If we now go back to the web browser, we see, it immediately recognizes that changes have been made in the headset. The course overview now shows the evacuation exercise, which we can assign to learners with a few clicks. Here we find learners that we have created before and can now select. The learners will see the course after just a few seconds, no matter where they are. With a headset, and without further adjustments even on a PC, without goggles. That's how quickly you can create a small immersive training. Start today with 3Spin Learning.